Siddharth Taliano joining us with more information. As we speak, we are getting more details of Chandrayaan's descent. Siddharth, what do you have?
So what we have in front of us, Pranesh, is a graphical depiction of the descent of the Vikram lander just minutes away from the time that it actually lands on the lunar surface. Pratibha did in fact take us through some of the details about this earlier, but let me just take you through this graphical depiction as well. So once the descent actually begins in what is called the rough braking phase, you have approximately 2.5 minutes. We're talking about 690 seconds. That's about 6 to 7 minutes of the rough braking phase, where the descent is actually in a plateau kind of a curve. And then you have 10 seconds of the altitude hold phase, followed by the fine braking phase, which is approximately 175 seconds, a little over 2.5 minutes. And thereafter, of course, in the fine braking phase, as we mentioned earlier, that Chandrayaan 2 actually developed certain snags, and as a result of which it eventually crashed. But then following the fine braking phase is what we have, the terminal descent phase, where you actually have a descent which is far more pronounced than some of its earlier phases, where it's a time span of approximately 131 seconds, where the rover, where the lander, I beg your pardon, actually descends completely vertically, and then it hovers around for approximately 22 seconds before initiating another vertical descent on the lunar surface. So this is basically the trajectory of the descent that's been captured on a graph. This has been put out by ISRO. The final few minutes, the 19 minutes of terror as they're called, which tracks the descent of the Vikram lander.
Thank you for taking us through those details, Siddharth. Pranav, we'll talk about this and we'll put it on the big screen right behind us. Let me quickly bring in our reporters. Deepak, you've been speaking to a lot of people. You are at a place which is in the thick of things. What's the mood there?
Well, the modes of anticipation here, Pranesh, as we speak, things are getting set here at MOX is track. This is, of course, a mission control complex where everything is being closely monitored. Very soon, of course, what they will do is make it an automated system. Nothing much will be done from here. The systems are programmed in such a way that for the last few minutes, something that Siddharth was explaining, all of it will be done by the lander module by itself. So it will, of course, be monitored. Now, we should also understand, Pranesh, that Chandrayaan 2 as well is going to assist Chandrayaan 3. Now, viewers may ask how. Last time around, there was an orbiter that took the module into the lunar orbit. Even now, the Chandrayaan 2 orbiter is sending data, information to MOX here in Bengaluru, based on which, of course, they can assess where exactly they need to land, or, the timing of the landing, after which they've decided to land today at 6:04. If things are not favorable, they can even change that time. So a lot of options this time with the scientists here at MOX. As we speak, I'm going to ask my video journalist to show you the screen that you see there. Right up in just a few moments from now, where they will be showing us what's happening inside MOX, that is Mission Control Complex. And of course, the scientists, last time while the pictures did come on there, it was a mood where people, of course, were glued to their systems. They were checking for all the final entries that they need to make, all the measures that need to be employed to ensure that this particular landing is safe. The last few seconds are going to be crucial, Pranesh, because that's where there was a glitch last time. But the scientists at ISRO have been maintaining that every bit of the operation they've thought through it in their minds, and in through the programs, in through the supercomputers. And right now, the execution manually on the lunar surface is anticipated to make India the fourth country, only the fourth country in the world to make a soft landing on the surface of the moon.
Deepak, stay with us. Y.S. Rajan, scientist, honorary professor at ISRO, someone who knows a lot of details about this. Mr. Rajan, thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. What do you make of what we've achieved so far, and your thoughts going forward the next 1.5 to 2 hours? All right, we'll go to Mr. Rajan in just a bit. But Pranav, we were talking about this. Just break it down, for the common man. What are we talking about? From a speed of about 6,000 km per hour, the Chandrayaan 3 will slow down to about 100, 125 km per hour?
See, the important thing that is essential for a soft landing is when you're engineering a soft landing, you're basically taking the entire space into account while you're engineering it. So when the site was chosen, the terrace, the terrain, the topology, and everything was taken into account, and everything was moduled in, and that's why we have an automatic landing module that will be circulated right here. So what happens is that while you're maneuvering a lander such as this, you're bringing it closer to the surface, and the fundamental definition of soft landing is that the velocity has to be zero at zero altitude, which fundamentally means that it just lands there with no movement. Because if it has any kinetic energy at that point, it will thrust in. I mean, we've done hard landing. You remember the moon impact probe that we had in Chandrayaan 1. So we did that intentionally. Right here, it is not that important. The reason one has to go through the entire phases wherein we are doing the rough braking phase, where we very slowly basically bringing the velocity down, and it doesn't happen
with the altitude.
With the altitude, in respect to the altitude. It doesn't happen technically. I mean, this is the phase wherein at some point there might be a situation wherein it doesn't descend
like it is
in the gradient which is shown right here.
Yes.
It might just increase and then slowly come down. So all of this will happen. But the importance of soft landing in going through all those phases is to ensure that the missions that we are going to do next have that kind of technology.
Okay.